We think and are taught about money a lot like we are about physics, with laws and principles, when actually money is a lot more like psychology with nuance and emotions. To grasp why people bury themselves in debt, you don't have to study interest rates, but rather the history of greed, insecurity, and optimism. Nothing explains why people behave the way they do, like money does. Here are 12 lessons from the psychology of money that will change your financial life. Lesson 1. No one is crazy. Your life experience makes up about 0.0000001% of what happened in the world, but it forms 80% of how you think the world works. You know things about money that I don't, and vice versa. Sometimes it just comes down to when and where you were born. For example, if you were born in the 90s, you've lived most of your life without even thinking of inflation. Whereas if you were born in the 60s, prices went up threefold during your teens and 20s. Some lessons have to be experienced before they can be understood. What looks crazy to you might be completely normal to me. Lesson 2. The role of luck in success. In 1968, when Bill Gates was grade 8, he had a 1 in a million chance of attending a school with the foresight of having a computer available. He has since attributed the success of Microsoft to just that luck. The world is too complex to attribute 100% of your actions to 100% of your outcomes. Luck and risk are both the reality that life is guided by forces other than individual effort. It's hard to quantify the exact role of luck in success, and it sometimes seems rude to attribute someone's success to luck and demoralizing to attribute your own success to luck. So the idea here is not to focus on the extreme examples like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, but to look at different people and the broader pattern. You never know how luck and risk can completely change everything. Lesson 3. Never enough. Joseph Heller, who wrote Catch-22, was once at a party, and someone approached him and said, "The host of the party had made more money in one day than you have made in your entire sales of your book. What do you say to that?" And Joseph Heller responded, "Well, I have something that he will never have, and that is enough." The hardest financial skill is to get the goalposts to stop moving. We're always chasing that next financial goal and climbing this invisible ladder. A little healthy competition is good, but the problem comes in when your ambition grows faster than your satisfaction, and then you start risking things to try and catch up. Morgan writes, "There is no reason to risk what you have and need for what you don't have and don't need." Many things are not worth risking at all, like your reputation, your friends, your family, and your happiness. So if you can keep your needs low, you can have enough before someone else a lot faster, and you can be content. Lesson 4. Don't be flashy. Morgan writes to his son, "You might think you want an expensive car, a fancy watch, and a huge house, but I'm telling you, you don't. What you want is respect and admiration from other people, and you think having expensive stuff will bring it. It almost never does, especially from the people you want to respect and admire you." There are two main reasons for this. The first is the man in the car paradox. People buy fancy cars and houses thinking that that's going to get them respect and admiration. When you see someone driving a fancy car, you don't think, "Wow, that person is so cool and so rich." You look at the car and you think, "The car is cool." And you imagine yourself in that car. And secondly, most people judge their success by how much money they spent. But wealth isn't actually about the money spent. It's about the money not yet spent. Lesson 5. The magic of compounding. We look at someone with that perfect relationship or a perfect body and you think, "Wow, I want that, but I want that now." We look at the results instead of thinking about the compounding effects. The example used in this case is Warren Buffett. If you look at his net worth at the time that this book was written, it is $85.4 billion. Of that, $84.2 billion was accumulated after his 50th birthday. We forget that Warren Buffett started investing when he was 11 years old. None of the 2,000 books written about Warren Buffett states that he has been investing consistently for 3/4 of a century. So, for example, the odds of making money. If you invest for a day, the odds is 50%. For a year, it's 66. 10 years, 88. In 20 years, 100%. It's all about earning pretty good returns for the longest period of time. Lesson 6. Save as much as you can. Building wealth has little to do with your income or your investment returns and a lot to do with the way you save your money. We think about savings as income minus expenses, but how Morgan says you can think about it is income minus ego. This is an interesting way to think about why we spend our money and if we actually really need what we are buying or if we're just buying it to somehow win some status award. Many people are working jobs that they don't necessarily want to because their expenses just demand a high amount of income from them. Increase your savings in any way you can and decrease your expenses so that you can have more autonomy and freedom to do the things you actually want to be doing. So chapter 7, use money to buy freedom. The true value of money is the flexibility it gives us with our time. Money's greatest intrinsic value, and this can't be overstated, is its ability to give us control over our time. Using your money to buy time and options has a lifestyle benefit few luxury goods can compete with. Income has diminishing returns, and at a certain point, more income cannot buy you any more units of happiness. Focus on building freedom rather than just earning money. You might like your job now, but things change. You might be shifted into a different department or get a different boss or have to work longer hours. You never know what happens. So lesson 8. Focus on not screwing up rather than making big gains. If we consider an example with two people, the one's called Sue and she invests $1 into the stock market every month no matter what, whereas the other person, Jim, only invests in the market when it's going up and then he sells as it's going down and he tries to play the market in that way. This is what Sue's portfolio looks like, and unfortunately this is what Jim's looks like. And the reason is not that Sue made big gains, but she consistently did not screw up by selling her stocks when the market was low. Getting it wrong is a lot worse than getting it right. So stop chasing that next pyramid scheme or that next big cryptocurrency. Do the average thing when everyone around you is going crazy. So lesson 9, leave room for error. There is two parts to this. So there's the physical part where you're going to go invest your money and you're expecting a return of about 8%. But what you need to account for is you might only get 4% or 2% or even minus 2%. And you need to have set up your wealth in a way that that does not wipe you out. But something that people rarely consider is the emotional impact, where you decide maybe to save a year of your income and to quit your job and become a musician. This is all fair and well, and you think, cool, I'm gonna have a year to make my dream come true. But what people struggle to think about is the fact that seeing your savings dwindle every month has an emotional and a psychological impact on you. We don't always act rational, and it is important to account for your emotions. Lesson 10, plan for the plan, not going according to plan. There's a famous quote by Mike Tyson where he says, everyone has a plan until they get hit in the face. When we plan for our financial lives not to go according to plan, we have emergency funds and we have 6 months to a year's worth of expenses saved up. What happens if there's a recession and you can't withdraw your money from your stocks? Or if there's a housing crisis and you can't sell your house for as much as you thought you would? Don't obsess over all the negative things that can happen, but just be financially prepared. Lesson 11. Avoid financial future commitments for yourself. People have been tasked to describe how they've changed in the last 10 years, and for the most part, people could do that fairly accurately. But if people are asked to predict how much they will change in the next 10 years, the results have been notoriously bad. We think that who we are today is broadly who we will be in the future, with mostly the same desires and beliefs, but that often isn't the case. And we need to remember that we'll still need some finances in the future, and we should not spend all of our money on something that we deem subjectively important today. Lesson 12, be reasonable rather than rational. If I just take an example in my life, I always used to think that you should buy a house and you should increase your equity and you should stop paying someone else and making them rich. But what I failed to consider with the opposite of maybe renting is the flexibility that it offers you and the money you could take and invest. So yes, technically it's irrational to just think about putting your money in a bond, but you need to do what seems reasonable to you. It might not look rational to others, but if it makes you sleep at night, then that's good enough. I hope you found these lessons as interesting as I did. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.